it would be like, I would say, to what came first. And I think Prabhupada sent the Mahamantra around the planet before I got to meet him. But when I was 18 or something, I had already finished my high school, and I had like almost 2 years of college, chemical engineering. And my dream was to, as a youth of those days in the 60s, was to go to California, San Francisco, and like that. But just a little before that, about 2 years before that, 3 years before that, I think I was 15 years old. I came home one day, and my mother loved to sing, and the radio was her thing. And so she said, "Oh, you have to hear this. It's wonderful. It's a little song, and I just heard on the radio, and I think it means joy in Spanish. You know, this was Buenos Aires. I was born in Argentina, and she proceeded to Alegría, Alegría. So Hare Krishna was the tune that Hair had brought to the Broadway show was brought in Buenos Aires. Argentina was very opulent, so the shows were bought by producers. A few months after their shows were shown in Broadway and like that. So anyhow, that was it. And then that evening, I think my cousin, who was my best friend, I went to his house and we listened to George Harrison's album, and one side of it, the Mahamantra. And years went by, and I got my wish to go to California. My father said, "Okay," I was a very good student and valedictorian, and so my mother was my ally. So let him go, and I said, "Yeah, I'll just go for a year or so." But my dream was to go to India. Anyhow, so I made it to California, and everywhere I went to, especially in Berkeley, I used to go there every day, down Telegraph at the entrance of the campus. And the devotees who come there every day and chant. So that's where I got in 71, January, I got my first BTG and first Simply Wonderful. And so I would say that first that came, and it acted as a purifying process, I think. Everywhere I went to in America, any concert, an event, the devotees were there distributing prasadam, BTGs, and Harinam. That was the big deal. Then I made it to New York, and that was happening there too. I used to go to Washington Square all the time, and devotees would come on weekends. A few months later, I went to England. I was trying to, like I said, go to India. And living in London, down Portobello Road, the devotees who come on the weekends and chant. And my visa ran out. Krishna arranged everything, a funny thing. And so at that time in Europe, they had a bus that would go from Amsterdam to all the way to India. And that was, I think I was about to take it, and anyhow, my visa ran out in England, and I was, without being deported, I was sent out back to Argentina. I had my round trip ticket my dad gave me, and so I went to New York, back to New York, and then to Buenos Aires. So, but when I arrived, it was funny. Like in those days, most of us, we read Gita, we're into Oriental philosophy, and nothing very attractive to me. But I did read them through the I Ching, and that day, my idea was to buy land in Patagonia, and by that time I was already a vegetarian for a few years, and my idea was to go back to America and gather some money and come back to Argentina, Patagonia, and have an ahimsa farm. I thought, well, if I have sheep, I don't have to kill them. I had no idea, or it was a very romantic idea, but that was my solution to the problems. I want to stay away from the cities, and Russia and America looked like they were about to go to each other's throats. Anyhow, I met Hanuman, who was a sannyas from Montreal, and I threw the chain and I said, your best, the sage, and best friend for life will be at a crossroads. And there it was, he was at a corner looking, like this, and I said, oh, I know you're Hare Krishna. And she said, yes. So I'm going to open a temple here. So I help him get, first materials to open the temple. But before that, we were traveling with my sister when I came from Europe. I went to Patagonia. And we were pretty disillusioned. She was pretty wealthy, and she had her own ad company, advertisement company, and everything kind of, her husband, it was a bad divorce, and she lost everything. Anyhow, I said, oh, let's go to the country. And we heard about a commune, and anyhow, that was a disaster. But so, before we got to that commune, we got raided, police, and they were all just like trying to find land, and they were chased from place to place. Anyhow, that dream was coming to an end, and we were pretty disillusioned, not only with materialistic society, but with all the other alternative so-called counterculture. And so one day we're at the platform and waiting for a train. It was in Santiago, Chile. And she said, what's the reason to stay here? I might as well just finish it all. But something, now I know it's Prabhupada and Prabhupada. I said, no, just, you wait, there's somebody here on this planet that's going to help us. And I said, he might not even be from this planet. I remember those words. And so later, a year later, I met Hanuman and this devotee, and although I met the devotees before, I'd never got a chance to read the philosophy. So he asked me right off the bat, being French-Canadian, he didn't speak the language too well. He said, I have this Bhagavad Gita, and I'm going to lecture from it. Can you translate? I said, sure. And that was it for me. I never left. I started translate Bhagavad Gita and read Prabhupada, and I was going, yeah, wow, bona fide. This is not an hallucination. This is not drug-induced. I believe in reincarnation, but it was this ancient knowledge. And I loved the fact between Srimad Bhagavatam, I loved Srimad Bhagavatam. And I like history, so remember from my days as a student, we have very little on India, what to speak of Vedic culture. And Prabhupada, in just few phrases, he made everything make sense, and history about India and how ancient and why, and the wisdom that came with it. And so I was hooked. That was it for me. So I moved in the temple not too long after translating, probably about a week or so. And fast forward, I got that was the beginning of the end of 72, beginning of 73. And by October, Prabhupada accepted me as for first initiation, Harinam. And my sister, Hanuman, got married to my sister. It was the first scandal in the society. So when he took us all the way from Buenos Aires, we went to Los Angeles, and that's how I met Prabhupada in person. And also I was editing 3 of the books that we had. They had been translated very crudely by a devotee, and American devotee. And my sister was very well connected to printing houses, the most famous houses that had connections to Italy and Rome and like that. So when we took those 3 books to reprint, because we couldn't afford the BBT prices from California, the Argentine peso was getting devaluated all the time. So they said, this is impossible. You're not going to attract any of the intellectual class or professors or intelligent people. So you had to edit. So I edited those 3 books, and that's what I brought. Sorry to make the story long, but that's what I brought with me to meet Srila Prabhupada. And I was in this room and clutching the books and not believing that I'm here in front of the Super Soul, the outer manifestation of Super Soul, Paramatma, right in front of me. So I couldn't speak. But Prabhupada read my mind, nevertheless. So he asked me to come closer, and I looked back and said to me, he said, yes, just come closer. It was just 3 of us in his quarters in Los Angeles. And he called me all the way just almost next to him, actually. And he was very expressive, with one look or two, he can tell you what, besides, it was a very telepathic situation, I could say. And I realized, oh yes, the books, so I gave him the books, and Prabhupada had a broad smile, and his eyes went like big, and he proceeded to read the title in perfect Castilian Spanish. Krishna, la Suprema Personalidad de Dios. And I said, wow, Prabhupada speaks Spanish, thinking. And Prabhupada looked at me and said, oh, Krishna speaks even the birds' languages. And so that began my relationship with Srila Prabhupada, many darshans. He taught me very key lessons. With Hanuman, we kept seeing him, and Hanuman kept asking for forgiveness. And one day Prabhupada had come out from massage, and so he was just wearing kamcha, and he had a golden knee sticking out from the desk, and he went like this. He said, spiritual life is like playing mridanga. The more you practice, the better you get at it. So, and he said, now you preach double. He was very impressed. My sister was wearing a sari. He complimented her on that. And there were also moments where I was lucky to have, since I was introduced to Prabhupada personally, and then Hanuman introduced us to all the leaders, and also I met Karandar, Ms. Vishnu Jan, Sansarup Maharaj, whoever devotees, high devotees, the elder devotees that were in Los Angeles at that time. And everybody had come at that time, the Prabhupada was in California and LA, they will come from all over. It's like we have one Rath Yatra, but it was all the devotees from America would gather at the Rath Yatra. So at that time, pretty much everybody was in Los Angeles. So I had my chance to meet Nanda Kumar. At that time was Prabhupada's servant, 1973, and beginning of December. And so I met, Keshava, actually, Karanda's brother, came to Buenos Aires. And fortunately, he couldn't stay too long. He had asthma, and he came right in the middle of winter. And Buenos Aires is pretty humid, very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer. It's kind of like New York, So he went back to America, but we continued our friendship. And he got me many services actually. Keshav will come and say, come, dude. Prabhupada's in the garden, you can come and, be like a guard or, an attendant right there. So, I had the chances to hear Prabhupada and how he interacted with people and different walks, It was pretty amazing. And he always like that, he'd do a gesture, somebody had come to visit. He looked at me and made a gesture, like just with the eyes. And he could speak to me, my mind. So I knew this person was leaving, so I jumped out, opened the door, just being courteous. So he had like the etiquette of the old world. And my mother was 40 years old and heard of in those days, and I was born in 52, and my father was 45, so it was like having parents, grandparents. My mom came from a aristocratic, noble Spanish family, and so they had come to Argentina in the 1500s and brought the Virgin Mary deity with them. They're still there in the family, and opened churches. So I was baptized, raised Catholic, but they were very liberal. My father was Jewish, so she married a Jew who was actually coming from also a very prominent Jewish family, helped fund help establishment of Israel. But they were very broad-minded, so they took to the Krishna consciousness really fast. Actually, as I was reading Prabhupada's books, my dad would read, and my mom too. They were avid readers. So ended up that mom got to meet Prabhupada in Los Angeles, and they used to wave at each other. Prabhupada had in his quarters there was a window behind him, and she was taking the kids to the laundromat. There was an alleyway, and the kids started. My nephew, niece. There were two nieces and a nephew. They said, "Prabhupada, Prabhupada." They started calling him out, and he turned around and leaned on the window and started waving at them. So this happened a few times. So my mother's hero was, one thing she taught me was that God is love and love is God. And there was a difference between the teachings of Jesus and the institution. Because, being around that institution for so long, the family got to know the difference. My mother so said, our family lost great fortune, but we didn't lose the wisdom. And that's most important for you to know. So fast forward, Prabhupada, my mother would tell anecdotes all the time was about that, and singing songs and about teachings, wisdom of life, and also about God and His compassion. And she would say in Spanish, God squeezes but doesn't choke to death, meaning that you might have some trouble and vicissitudes or problems of your life, but trusting God, Krishna, He won't make you. He won't vanquish you. So that faith was there, but I always, since I was a kid, wondered who's God and what is He there and what is He doing, and I didn't like the image that God is an old man sitting on a throne judging everybody. It didn't quite gel with me. So when I hear Prabhupada's descriptions in the Veda, descriptions of Krishna, and I'd say this is just most wonderful. So he introduced me to God, and he gave me his address, like Prabhupada said, his address, his name, how to get there, and what is he doing, his Leela, his name, his qualities, his Leela. So many things that I wanted to know, and there he was. Prabhupada presented them in such a wonderful way. In his books and his lectures, I went to many lectures. One night, he's talking, I think it was Bhagavad Gita in Los Angeles one night, and he finished the class and he said, "Did you like that?" And everyone was, "Jai Prabhupada, yes, yes." He said, "I liked it too." He said, "That's Paramatma." I don't know, there were morning walks in Mayapur, and he always picked up an amazing example. It's like the example of the rope and the snake, and how the rope looks like a snake at night. And there we are walking, it was few devotees, so mostly they were all GBC except for me. And Prabhupada looks to the ground, everybody looks, and the sun was just coming out. And he said, "See that? Last night that was a snake. But now the sun is coming up. And so everything is clear. We see the objects as they really are." So one day, when you're Krishna conscious, you'll see everything the way it's supposed to be. And then we went, he was serious that day. There was some argument going on, about my god brothers. But Prabhupada stopped one time, he said, but we have the real United Nations. Just see, and we are from all over the world, and we know coming here to chant the holy names of the Lord. He kept on walking, and we went into a pandal, and we were going to show Prabhupada. He was going to see all the pictures around the world of the deities and like that. And as we were walking to the pandal, just a few yards away, the pandal was untied, and the kids found the spot. And so they were peeking and calling, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would lift the cane and do like he was going to go get him. And he laughed, and he turned around and said, see, all men and children make friends fast. And then got serious again and started walking so regally, and he was like a lion walking, and all the big men that were there used to call him, you're a big man, those GVCs, there were some sannyasis and like that. So yeah, another time, I think Bhavananda Prabhu, he was there too. He tells of the story. We were walking and there was a wall, little brick wall. Excuse me. And Prabhupada started to try to come up, and I think with Bhavananda Prabhu or somebody came fast, running and gave the hand to Prabhupada to help him come up. And then when Prabhupada was up on the top just to go to the other side, he hit the hand like that. These are the Mayavadis, you see. They think they're at the top. When they're at the top, they get rid of the Guru. Now they're God. They don't need anybody. And like that, so it was amazing. I witnessed too, one time Keshav told me, hey, Prabhupada is in his quarters. Oh, he allowed me to stay all day. One day, because I came with Gargamuni from Europe. That was one of my dreams, to come to India. And Prabhupada gave me that gift. It was like, we bought brand new Mercedes-Benz buses and Menon. And we went from there all the way came here to India, went through Vrindavan, went all the way to Mayapur to meet Srila Prabhupada. And so I came in, I was one of the few with all the sannyasis and GVCs, and Prabhupada was patting Gargamuni's back, it's like, good boy. It was very loving seeing, but so I was allowed, Prabhupada never say, hey, what are you doing, or nothing else. But I would do sit against the wall and observed. And I saw the interaction he had with devotees, how loving he was. And to the ones he knew, like Bhagavan, he came that day and he was telling Prabhupada how little of the sun they see in winter. It's almost different things that didn't light chat. Anyhow, the day went by and I went back to my quarters or something, in service I was doing. Keshava came and said, Prabhupada, we need somebody for the shift at night to guard Prabhupada's room. So yeah, I'm there. So I went and I got there by 8:30 p.m. And Prabhupada was in the same place, the same spot. They had a mosquito net though over his desk and where he was sitting, and he had a big big book. It was Sridhar Swami, the old commentator of the Srimad Bhagavatam, on his desk. But at 9 o'clock, he turned off the light. And Lean, he just went to sleep at the spot there, rest, if he slept. And 2 hours later, the light came back on, and what he did, he got up and turned on the dictaphone and continued translating until they came to get me, and they told me, oh yeah, he just stays all night and he translates. He might take a nap in the afternoon, and that was it. So such dedication I never seen in my life. There's so much more, I don't know, I mean, I can't express it that well. But with, I don't know if I'll be alive, and I don't know, if my life had no meaning before I met him, and now it has a full purpose and a place to go. Like I said, he gave us the address, the name, and where to go to meet our Lord, and how to attain double Godhead. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you.